As a member of the EA Creator Network, I have been gifted DLC for The Sims 4, but all opinions remain my own. Hey everyone, it's AlluringSimmer here, back with another speed build, and today we are building a 70s themed rental lot. I definitely put a lot of effort into planning out this build in terms of, making a Pinterest board and a mood board to kind of visualize what the space would look like before I actually created it. And I think that really helped me with making this build and having it turn out the way that it did. I'm very satisfied with the end result of this build, and I hope that you guys enjoy it too. And if you do, please feel free to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. I'm hoping to be consistent once again with YouTube. I did take like a small break over the past few months, but I do want to be more consistent throughout the rest of the year. I think I'm going to aim for videos to be out on a bi-weekly basis, so every 2 weeks on Fridays you will see a new video from me. I'm also hoping to branch more, not necessarily away from The Sims, but for content alongside Sims content as well. I want to do like more lifestyle content. I've been really getting into like well, not getting into, but I have been crocheting a lot more in my free time. I've also been doing a lot more reading, so I would love to share like books that I've been reading with you guys, and also like some of the crochet projects I've been working on. So definitely let me know in the comments down below if you guys would like to see more like vlog style content or lifestyle content in the future. I could even mix it in with The Sims as well, just like sharing what I'm doing in The Sims, but also like what I'm doing outside of The Sims as well. But yeah, I just thought I'd let you guys know that little update. I am still consistently streaming on Twitch, so if you still want to get content from me when I'm not posting as frequently, then definitely consider following me on Twitch. It'll be linked in the description down below. I live stream pretty much daily. We do Sims, but we also do a variety of other games as well as crafting content, just like, podcast style. I won't say podcast per se, but like more just chatting type streams as well. So if that's something you think you'd be interested in, definitely consider checking out my Twitch. But yeah, for this build, I really had a lot of fun with it. The landscaping turned out really cute. I went for like a more whimsical style with like the plants that I decided to put around the front and like side of the home. I tried to keep it also kind of simple, even though there is a lot of like plants, kind of overlapped here. I did still want the overall vibe to be like a bit more minimalistic. And even though we have like a big bright orange door, I tried to incorporate that color throughout the rest of the home to kind of make it not stand out like too much. So we have like the oranges from the flowers. You'll notice that there's like a lot of orange in the actual furniture in the home as well. And I feel like this door kind of like shaped the entirety of the house, if that makes sense. I added a cute little bench so your Sims can sit out here and chill. There's also some seating that will be added onto the patio in just a second, so that your Sims can also sit on the front patio and just kind of chat and hang out. I like to make sure there's a lot of spaces for like your Sims to sort of relax, so that way your Sims don't necessarily have to always be like inside. They have a variety of spaces if they want to like entertain a friend or just hang out, read a book, work on their hobbies. But yeah, I really like how the little patio space turned out. Choosing the color of that table took forever, and I ended up settling on this blue one because I thought the blue kind of matched the pillow and the brown kind of matches the door frame. Now we're moving on to the interior of the build, and I decided to do like an open concept floor plan. Initially I was going to go for like lighter woods, but because I decided to stick with the darker wood for the exterior, I decided to keep the wood kind of dark for the interior. I'd say it's like a medium brown, not quite too dark, but also not too light. Here I'm trying to figure out what type of wallpaper I want to use, and I think I ended up going with like just a simple plain one, and I think I changed it out later on. I really like the fireplace, and I noticed that with a lot of the 70s style homes that I saw when like scrolling through Pinterest, a lot of them featured like stone, like walls, or just like stone fireplaces seem to be the common theme. There was another style fireplace, like the more mid-century modern type vibe, but we don't really have one that looked similar enough, or like that fit really the exact aesthetic that I was looking for. So I ended up going with this stone one. I don't remember what pack that's from, but I sized it down so it could kind of fit in between the window space there, and it fit perfectly where the chimney is. The living room is kind of like, I would say it's like oriented a little bit odd because it's not centered with that space. It's kind of more off to the side, but I didn't want the front of the home to be like too symmetrical, so the living room just had to kind of orient itself with where the fireplace was at. But I think it turned out cute nonetheless. You can see here I'm using a lot of the like Get Famous furniture. I tried to do something different with that lamp, which I definitely would never normally use because I feel like it doesn't really fit anywhere else. But I feel like with the color scheme of this home, it kind of is like a feature piece. It's a little bit funky and it adds a little bit of interest to the house. I decided to have like a little chair on the corner to kind of, even though the space wasn't symmetrical, just to kind of fill out that space and make it into like a little reading nook. I really like the open, or like, I guess, yeah, somewhat open windows. I feel like that also adds a bit of interest to this room because it is pretty simple when you take a look at it. Um, and now I'm working on the kitchen. I used Parenthood. I feel like the color scheme of Parenthood fit nicely with this build. I had other things in mind. I definitely wanted to do something like super bright for the kitchen. Like I was thinking of doing like a more neon color, but I decided to go for Parenthood because although it's a bit more neutral, I feel like the color scheme just like fits a bit nicer, and it also matched a lot better with a lot of the inspo pics that I saw on Pinterest. Um, I decided to do like a big open island with the stove from Parenthood as well. And this room ended up being like the kitchen slash dining room combined. The color scheme for the kitchen and dining room is kind of like orangey, green, blue, which you'll see later on when I add like the dining area. I decided to do like orange for the chairs, I'm pretty sure. This is the first time in a while that I've used that like overhead stove hood because most times my stove is pressed against the wall. It's not usually like in the middle of the room. And I was thinking about using the stove from Dream Home Decorated, but it just like did not look right. I did not like how it fit into the build, so I ended up doing this instead. And then here I'm adding the dining area. I decided to keep it like, I want to say simple, but I feel like the color scheme of the home is what like adds interest to this house and what makes it more easily fit into the style that I was going for. Also, the mid-century style of Get Famous really worked nicely for this build. But yeah, I definitely kept the color scheme like throughout the entirety of the build. We have a lot of blues, yellows, oranges, browns, and even when I was making my mood board, that was a big thing that I incorporated into my like vision for this home. Now we're moving on to another room in the house. I usually kind of zoom out so I can like visualize the entire home and see how everything looks all together. I ended up wanting to change the clutter out on this little, I don't know what to call it, just like a storage thing. Storage slash like hutch type thing. And I think it turned out pretty nicely once I figured out what to put on there. And I think I settled for these books, and then I think I ended up changing them again. I honestly don't know. Like this little area was really working my nerve. Oh, this is what I ended up doing. I ended up putting that little butterfly painting and a cute little storage box, and then I put these like salt and pepper shakers next to it, and I think that worked quite nicely. Here I'm changing out the lighting to make sure I didn't, keep the subtle saucer lights by accident. And I added in these sheer curtains, which I don't really know if they necessarily fit the vibe. Like this room. Kind of has elements of like 70s style, but also like a lot of elements that are a bit more modern. Um, but I think with the limitations with using like the packs that kind of focused on the style that I wanted to do didn't necessarily have items for like every single section of a home. They mainly had stuff for like the bedroom, living room, maybe dining room, but not really a lot of stuff for like kitchen, bathroom, and like outdoor space. So I sort of had to make do with what's in the game. And I didn't want to use custom content because I wanted to upload it for you guys to be able to use as well. Here we're finally working on the bedroom, and I really like how it turned out. I use a lot of Get Famous for this room. I already knew, like, before I even started this build, like, this was the bed that I was going to use, the one from Get Famous, because it just fits the aesthetic of, you know, the 70s style so well. I love the orange color of the bed. And normally I'm not really a huge fan of orange, but I think it works nicely for this build. I use these like wall sconces above either side of the nightstand, and another like I guess color element, or I guess that would be the best word, color element that I decided to incorporate in a lot of the home was gold. So you see the gold in the sconces, there's like gold on the windows, there's gold like hardware on a lot of the items. There's silver as well, but there definitely is a lot of like gold, like bronzy tones to a lot of the things throughout the house. And I feel like, you know, carrying that color scheme throughout the home kind of makes it so that the entire build feels a bit more cohesive. Here I was trying to figure out what to do at the entryway. Initially this was my layout. I think I ended up switching it up a little bit afterwards. But I do like how it turned out in the end. Now this was me going back to the bedroom. I did work on this build over the course of a couple days, so there is a bit of like back and forth. After I had finished the house pretty much completely in terms of the interior, I wanted to go back in and make sure I added in any like last minute detail. And I think it was definitely a good choice to do that. And I honestly recommend it for anyone who builds to like revisit your build like one more time before you decide to like upload it to the gallery. Just because I feel like it helps a lot like going back into a build with like a fresh mind. I feel like it's the same as like if you were to write a paper and then you go back to edit it and like write your final draft. I feel like I do the same thing with my builds, and when I don't do that, I notice things that like I forgot, and I feel like when I do that, I tend to be able to like fix anything that I missed the first time around, or add things that I may have forgot to put into the build the first time. Obviously there's still times where I still end up forgetting things or realizing a spot where like I could have added an extra detail or something, but definitely revisiting builds and going back to them help out a lot with like improving your builds over time. And I can only speak for myself because I feel like my builds have improved from when I first started playing The Sims for sure. Here we moved on to the exterior. So this was the last part of the build. As I said before, I went back in to revisit the interior, and then the exterior was like not done at all. So I had to finish that up and like the landscaping. So here I decided to do a cute little like picnic table. I keep on calling it a picnic table, but it's more like a patio table type vibe with an umbrella, because in a lot of the pictures that I saw, they tend to have, you know, like the simple table with a couple chairs and a cute little umbrella on top. There's also the, what is this called? Like the conversation pit that was very common in the 70s, and I knew I wanted to incorporate it into the build. Initially I was going to add it into the living room, but I saw that there was a lot of homes where they had the conversation pit on the in the exterior or in the backyard area of the home, so I decided to do that instead. And I think it's really nice. I didn't play test it, I will be 100% transparent on that, so I don't actually know if your Sims will go down there and sit, but I'm really hoping that they do, because I spent so much time trying to like orient it and make it, you know, fit nicely and make it so that like you would be able to see your Sims as they sit there. From what I understand, they should be able to go down there. Like there's nothing really obstructing their way to get down to this like conversation pit, but you never know with The Sims. So if you download this build, let me know if you try out the conversation pit and let me know if it works. I will probably end up checking for myself as well, but I would love to hear your feedback if you do end up using this build yourself. Here I was trying to figure out what other things I could add to the backyard space. Again, because this is meant to be like a rental lot, I didn't want it to be too cluttered or too detailed, because like you want it to look lived in enough that like, you know, someone could potentially be staying here or visiting here, so that way if you were to have your Sims rent out this space, it's not like empty. But I also don't want it to be too overbearing, so it's like if you do want your Sim to rent out this space, they can also bring things from like their own home to make it more personal to them. So like they could bring, you know, air mattress, or they could bring, you know, a portable crib if they have a baby, or they could bring like toys and stuff if they have a kid, and want to kind of add things that are more purposeful for your Sims household. But overall, I really do like how this build turned out. I think all that was left after this was just kind of adding the finishing touches to the landscaping. And then at the end of this video, I do have some screenshots of the build, and I hope you stick around to check those out. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope that you really enjoyed this build as much as I do. Again, it is available on the gallery. My gallery ID is AlluringSimmer, same way it's spelled here on YouTube. Check me out on Twitch if you haven't already, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye everyone.